Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
Welcome back to Breaking Barriers. I'm so excited to have Dilan here with us today. We're about to be in 2025. And one of the things that I actually just recently talked about on the last podcast was how achieving your goals, especially in the world we live in today, is one of these things, whether it's a health goal, a business goal, a relationship goal, a wellness goal, whatever. There's an overwhelming majority of people who never actually achieve the goals that they're after. And then the voice in your head starts to even think that you're a bullshit artist. And like you think that about yourself. And you're like, I'm not doing it. And I'm excited to have you here today because like I'm in this energy right now. Like 2025 is going to be an explosive, amazing year. I feel it, you know, and this is the thing, like no matter what, I've been saying this, you know, for the past like probably like 2-3 months, because I have a lot of clients that are like our friends that are like terrified. Oh, where's the economy going to go because of an election or so that. And the only thing I always say is like, listen, from day one, 17 years ago when I started my business, the only thing I know is I can control what I do. So right. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I got to wake up, I got to work out, I got to eat, I got to feel right, I got to take care of myself, I got to take care of my family. And so I'm excited to have our girl Dilan here today because you are somebody who I respect a ton when it comes to health, wellness, and also just, I'll say, savagery in business. You know, we met through somebody who's a new board advisor from our team, Kristen. And, you know, I want to do, but I'm not going to be able to, your intro justice. So for people like, who the hell is Dilan? Can you please give us a quick intro?
Yeah, so I am Dilan. I am the founder of Dilagence, which is a company focused on promoting health and high performance, particularly in high pressure environments. How did I get here? If you're somebody that has been sprinting through these crazy weeks where sometimes you don't see the sun, where you feel like you don't have a moment of time for yourself, I know what you feel like. I started my career on a trading floor, and one of the things that helped me to accomplish my success, and not just those days where I was surviving, but those days where I felt like I was thriving, it was how I managed myself. It was how I thought about peak performance every single day. What did it mean to get my body right and get my mind right before I had to go into a high, intense, high pressure environment? So when I think about the clients that we serve today, and we have the pleasure of working with large organizations, particularly on like their programming, on if you are a leader in the workforce, every time that you move, when you take 5 minutes before that big board presentation, or before you're going to go talk to a major investor, that 5 minutes made your mind better, because the neuroscience says that every time you move, you're getting more oxygen to your brain, which means that the next thing you do is going to be more powerful. And that doesn't cost you money. That was just you taking action. The other thing we will do is we know that large organizations have well-being. And you know what? I actually venture to say they care to an extent, but I'm also somebody that comes from the world of numbers. And if you're making an investment in your people, there should be an ROI. So we create a win-win for organizations. So if you have some kind of well-being benefit, we want to make sure that your people are using them, that they're aware of them, that they know how to use them. And we'll come in as your partner to go that last 10, 20% on the communication content strategy to make sure that your people are happy and healthy and performing for you.
Boom, boom. And the one thing I want to say though too, so
the dancing is optional.
Yeah, but we do it anyway, right? We do it anyway.
It's a physical activity, by the way.
Yes, we're moving, right? So it's oxygen to the brain. Quick stand up. All right, so
squat. I do have a lovely strategy called the 60-second workout. We can get there later.
Love that. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, right? So like, because you mentioned it, and I think it's so, there are so many people. I was one of them, where when you're in a high performing position, right? Like, for a majority of the 17 years that I've operated and owned this business, I've probably for 70% of it, 70% being in the past, did not focus on my health. I wasn't eating the right stuff. I wasn't working out. the list goes on. Like I was just focused on business. And, recently I had this, like my dad recently had open heart surgery. And he's somebody who does not take care of himself and, is drinking and all that stuff. So, did not have a great lifestyle. And so it put me into this place where I'm at the hospital and I love to talk to people. So I'm talking to the doctor, I'm talking to nurses walking by, and I'm just having a conversation. And one of the nurses said something pretty profound to me. She goes, John, she goes, most people that are sitting in that bed that your father's in right now, they are busy with life. So like they're having kids, they're working, they're, focusing on the things that they have to do. And they don't focus on their health. And she goes, I've been doing this. She's been there for almost like 30 years, this lady. She goes, I've been doing this for such a long time that I've been blessed, and it's a double-edged sword, but I've been blessed to see that with the people who don't focus on their health because they got a million things going on, once you have a health problem, you only have one thing going on. And everything else stops because of that, right? So my dad, case in point, right? My dad, had to retire earlier because of this. And and stop. He can't go out and do the things that he normally does. And my dad's a real physical person. He likes to be out there. He's a blue collar construction worker. So, at the end of the day, when I look at that, I'm like, damn, like all those years, even though I was in my early 20s and teens and stuff like that for the most, where I wasn't taking care of myself, it's like these things have a long-term impact on you, especially if you don't change them. Mm-hmm. So that was a big reason why I wanted to have you on here. I care too much about the people that are in the breaking barrier circle for them not to level up their health this year. And you working with high performers and people who are busy and working 80-hour weeks, plus sometimes flying here, going there, doing all these different things. We almost live in a world now where there's no excuses, right? Like you could jump on a Peloton bike or work with you and get workouts, like you said, and time hack and like get real good movement in a short period of time. What piece of advice would you give somebody listening that's like, I don't have time. I don't care what Dilan says or whoever says this. I don't care if the Pope says something. I don't have time to work out. Like I'm way too busy, blah, blah, blah. What kind of motivation and wisdom and insights can you speak to here?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to know, is your dad okay? Your dad.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so grateful for that because
thank you.
Your energy comes from him. I can tell. And
yeah.
And to your point, that is the first thing I want to highlight to people. When people consider movement, they usually associate it with time and saying, if it's not like this, it's not enough. And more often than not, it's not rooted in anything. So when people consider like doing a little bit of activity, if we have a scale of 0 over here and 100 over here, they think that doing the 5-minute walk or the 10-minute walk is closer to 0, when in reality, it's way closer to 100. And to that conversation that nurse had with you, it's all the little things that we do over time.
Right.
Actually are like the preventive mechanisms and also the performance mechanisms. So right. You mentioned something that struck me quite a bit about your father retiring earlier than he might have planned to.
Yeah.
And what does that translate to? I do believe that those later years in our life, those are meant to be for all the things that we want to do, whether it's working, whether it's spending more time with our family, but it has some kind of value, monetary, financial, or social, whatever it is. That's wealth to me. A wealth of time with your family, a wealth if you want to be creating actual financial wealth. So investing in your health is the same thing. Taking that 10-minute walk is actually you investing in those years in your 60s, 70s, and 80s when if you still want to be working, you can be. If you want to be chasing after your grandkids on your own, you can be. Insert whatever thing that brings you joy in this life. The 10 minutes today is for that payoff later today. So the takeaway being any amount of time that you invest in your health, you are working for future you, and it is worth it because the alternative is doing nothing, and doing nothing is how you wind up at a crisis. Second thing, because you can't ask me for one. How you gonna ask me for one?
I was actually setting you up. I knew you were gonna come back with 2 or 3.
Yeah, you're making me need to clean up my glasses right now. Go. Second thing, I hear people, particularly because we're getting ready for New Year's time, they make their New Year's resolutions. They come out real hot, saying, I'm going to work out every single day, 90 minutes a day. I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to crush those weights. And then I don't know, I had to use that voice. It just felt like the right thing to do. They miss a day, and the setback somehow translates to failure. And instead of saying, okay, it didn't happen at this time, this is when I'll get after it next, it turns into like, I messed up, and they stop. So we're not just talking about New Year's resolutions. And by the way, I'm not a New Year's resolution. You can recommit to yourself any day, any moment, as long as you're willing to take a step. Awesome. That's actually what I care a lot more about. Make consistency really, really easy for yourself if you're a busy person. You have enough complexity. Don't make it more complex. So it's a lot easier to say, my goal this year is to start moving. So I'm going to make sure I move 1 to 2 times this week and leave it that simple. And if you're like, oh, that's not aggressive enough, show me you can do that first. Do that first.
Start somewhere.
Do that, but more like start somewhere, make it easy. And the reason why I say 1 to 2 times is because the actual definition of consistency is frequency. It doesn't say Monday. I'm not saying Monday, Tuesday. If you speak in this language where I'm going to do something 1 to 2 times, that means I can get moving Monday and Friday. Oh, wait, Monday is actually not the best day. But Tuesday, I have a 30-minute window here. I'm going to do this Tuesday, and you will. You start widening the aperture for your own success. So make it really, really easy for yourself to win, because life is complex enough. And if that ideal time that you marked off doesn't happen, get in the habit of going, I can't do this, but I can do this. Last thing I'll say, and then I got to turn it back to you, is if you picture a kid on a playground running around with their friends, like playing around, playing tag, whatever your favorite game was, you're probably picturing kids with a big smile on their face. Yes. And they're sprinting around. Do you think that just because they're smiling, that run or that sprint around the playground isn't effective? That they're not burning calories? That's not moving? We like to dissociate movement and joy as adults. We think that if something is really fun or enjoyable, that somehow it's not enough. We think that the Zumba class we go to isn't fun, like isn't a workout. The wedding you went to where you dropped it low wasn't a squat. Guarantee you, that was a squat.
And you know we get low.
We do get low. We do.
We know that.
We do. It's a squat that is lower body and it is core. So when you're thinking about how to make those commitments to yourself, don't think about the most difficult, challenging thing that you don't like doing. In fact, pick things that bring you joy, because it'll increase the likelihood that you'll keep doing it. So takeaway, take off the hard KPIs around I must do something a certain way. Get in the habit of going, I can't do this, but I can do this. And focus on the joy. Because every time you move, you're making your mind better, and it's going to pay off in the long term.
If we were in person,
yeah,
like I thought we were gonna be,
yeah,
I messed up. I have an air horn button in our control room that I would be freaking MLG air horn, like bam, bam, bam. Like I'd be getting after it. So I just want to. So that was so you so eloquently convey that, but I don't want people to miss the message, right? And I think one thing that's so imperative out of that, right, is it's about just starting. Don't create. And honestly, you know what's funny? My business coach told me that like 5 or 6 years ago, right? Because like 5 or 6 years ago, I was swinging for the fences with my goals. I'm like, yo, I want to do this. I want to do this. I was like, all these crazy goals, right? And he said to me, he's like, John, he's like, yo, check it. Like, this is okay. Like, you can have those goals, but like, based on what you did last year, right? Give me one that you think is not what you want to be, but might be a little more attainable. But like, let's keep the big goals there, right? Let's not say we can't do them. Let's just say, what do you think, based on your past track record, the future looks like for the next year? And I remember him being like, why the fuck's he being negative? Like, well, I don't want to hear that bullshit. But it taught me something, because I refined. And it's that quintessential, like, hey, aim for the moon. And if you hit the stars, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so to your point, like, if you're moving, and I think that's going to impact so many people, what you just said, how they think if you just get up and you're working at your stand-up desk instead of sitting down, or if you're like taking a quick lap in between meetings, most people I think associate that with that's not going to do enough. But I love that you said that it's not close to zero. It's close to the way opposite direction. So that's impactful, people. Make those movements and start somewhere. And one thing I'll just add to that to be a living like proof of it was for a majority of my life, I worked out. When I was 14, my friend and I would be working out, and he was my lifting buddy forever, all the way up until my business got really busy, when I was like 19 or 20. So from like 14 to like 20 years old, I was like in the gym every day, like no matter what. Like I didn't give a shit what happened. I was there, super committed. And then COVID happens, and I'm home now. I'm for the first time, I'm not traveling every day and like in New York office, in Jersey, in Connecticut, flying to Miami, flying to the UK. I'm like just in my house, right? And so for the first time, me being a normal like skinny dude, I put on like 30 pounds, right? And the funny thing, which I wish I had my air horn right now, is this jacket here I haven't worn since 2020, right? I had it actually locked away because this is one of my slim fit young monies. So I was like, this is
a thing. I'm telling you, it looks good.
Thank you. And I think the thing is that I haven't put these on in a while. I forgot because they were locked away somewhere after I put the weight on. But then when I started working out again, I found myself like during 2021, 22, I'm like, I don't enjoy running on a treadmill or like doing chest on a bench. And like, I just found myself, I fell out of love with it. And then I did it, but every day I was doing it, I was so unmotivated. Like I was not like, yes, I got to be in the gym. But to your point, what I started to do was I started to box, and I was like, I want to go box one day. I want to knock somebody's head in. So I go, and I tried boxing, and I had my Whoop app on, my Whoop thing, and I burned like 600 calories. And I always like to work out a fasted workout, a pre-fasted. So, and I burned so many calories, and I started getting toned up again. And I'm like, dude, like I'm not working out here. I'm having fun. Like this is crazy. And then, I started getting back into basketball and just doing things like that. And then I saw myself get into way better shape than I was in, obviously not in my prime, but like, when I was like working out, on and off, and I lost all the weight. And I think my point though is like, see, what you're saying is that if you enjoy playing tennis or basketball, whatever, to your point, movement is movement.
Yes.
And so I just want to be a living experience that, because now, like, again, like I lost over 30 pounds and, and I'm doing it by enjoying the shit that I'm doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Almost. Congratulations on you leading by example. But let's also not forget the impact that has on the fact that you lead a company, right? When the leader is well, the company is well. Facts. And make no mistake around, like, we're talking about movement and mental energy as if they are two disparate things, when they very much so reinforce each other.
Totally.
The that you experience their movement is cohesive. In fact, like this is something I always tell people. Like, we think about athletes that are at the top of their game. We think about their physicality, but we also know that they're at the top of their mental game. We're the inverse of that. Like, we are people at the top of our mental game. Movement supports that. So anytime you move, I'm not just saying it for kicks and giggles.
Right.
It makes you a better leader. It makes you a better worker. It makes you somebody who is of service.
Right. Yeah. Hold up. Also, wait a second.
Are we getting the air horn?
I'm
going to make you stand up and sit down as many times as possible during this recording.
Listen, I also want to say one thing. You just said something I thought was powerful.
Hey.
You, as a corporate executive or a founder or whoever is listening to this right now that's in that position that needs to be Dylan. It's a verb now. You get that? But if you're in the needing of being Dylan, like a lot of us are, right? The thing is like, I had this conversation with somebody. So have you ever heard of the Echo, like it's like a hydrogen water bottle?
Yeah.
So I'm like crazy right now and like tweaking because of this mindset. I'll tell you why. So I'm working out with this one guy at the boxing gym I go to, and essentially this guy's there. And he's doing all he's chugging water. He's taking these amino acids. He's doing all these different things, right? So I'm like, bro, I'm like, like, damn, like, chill out there. Like, what are you taking? And he's like, oh, whatever. And now he is trying to become a professional fighter, right? And he goes, the fighters that I watch, they do everything they can do to get 1% better in the ring. You know where I'm going with this right now? And as a professional, right, we, like, when we perform better, our results are better. We make more money. Like, the list goes on, right? And so I think when it comes to this, that's the key here. That, like, again, back to why the whole purpose is why I was like, I got to get Dilan on here, because if we're getting 1% better, we're getting a 1% edge, right? Yeah. In our health, in our wellness, in our mental, like you said, they all work in tandem together, right? It's like, we're going to be way happier. We're going to perform better. And that 1% is the difference between the person who got that job and you.
That's right. That's right.
Who wanted that promotion more, right? Who had it? And I think at the end of the day, back to what we're saying here, if you work in a company and you're hearing this, bring this to your HR person, bring this to your boss, right?
If you have an offsite coming up, if you have a team meeting coming up, and you're thinking about how are you trying to manage all the responsibilities and manage yourself in the midst of it, that is what we do. So, like, bring diligence in. We are here for you. And if you haven't figured out your strategy for your company as a whole, luckily, that's also what we do.
Oh, we're hitting every angle. So I think at the end of the day, you got to call Dilan. I mean, that's just plain and simple. You got to call Dilan. You got to go to the website. But before I have you plug yourself, because we have about 2 minutes, I want to ask you a legacy question.
Ooh.
So when you think about legacy in general,
mm-hmm.
I often think it's where our feet are planted here today. You in Chicago, me here in Jersey, right? And like legacy's like, all right, well, from here onward today, here's what I want to do and leave behind, for my family, my friends, whatever. But I like to reverse engineer this, right? And I want to think about it in a different simulation, right? Kind of exercise. So if I was in a room, mm-hmm. right? And let's just say, you again, this is a simulation, so this is not a real situation, but in the future, right? In the far, far future. And you've then passed, right? If I'm in a room and somebody's like, damn, whether it's your husband, a family member, but they say, damn, I wish you could have met Dilan because she's blank. What would that be? How would people that are closest to you explain who you were and the impact you made?
I think they would say Dilan was our biggest energizer and cheerleader whenever we needed it. I think they would say Dilan made it so health education that was inaccessible to so many became something anyone was able to harness with ease. And the impact that I hope to leave is, I do believe health is right up there with that. The right to liberty and happiness. Like, every human should have access to the education to live well, live better, and live longer. They say Dilan did that. Dilan created that. And this is going to sound a little wild, but I'm also okay if they don't say Dilan and they just do it. Real legacy is if it just exists and it's gone so beyond me that they don't need to even say Dilan Gomih. That's impact. It should be beyond me.
Where's my air horn? Where the fuck is my air horn today? I do want to say, though, I heard a quote that I think lines up so similar to this, which is true leadership is planting a seed and growing a tree you'll never get the shade from. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to be able to enjoy the shade. And I think
I'll be honest with you. Like, if there was a company that could do exactly what I was doing, the way that I have this vision in mind, I'd probably be working there. But the reason why this is my work and this is my life's work is because I believe so strongly that every human on this planet should be able to understand how to live longer, how to prevent those crisis moments in seconds. And until it exists the way that I envision it, then I have to keep going. So, but once it does, hey, I can go back into that tree. I'll disappear into the tree.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'll
I love
climb
it. Dylan, this has been so fire. I'm excited. We're gonna have a part 2.
Love it.
We're gonna have a part 2, but it's gonna be in person. Before we pop off here, this is where you plug yourself. Website, social, how people can contact you. If they've listened to this, like, I need to be Dylan.
Yes. So you can head to our website, dilagence.com. That is dilagence.com. And what I will say is, if you were planning those team rev calls in Q1, those offsites, those team meetings where you want people to understand how to harness their health, bring us in. That is our specialty. We are here for you. We are also your partner on that implementation side. We also have an amazing newsletter with free resources called the C-Suite Workout. We're launching an IG channel called Team Diligence. So look out for that too.
Oof, that's going to be packed with resources. So first off, I believe time is one asset we don't get back. And I know you're super busy. You're super focused on your mission. Thank you so much for spending it here with me today and our listeners. Guys, I'm going to highly encourage you to go follow Dylan's journey. I know that you only want the best. You have such a kind heart and you mean so well in the world and you want people to be healthy. And I'm just excited. You're going to be doing that for Adapting Social's upcoming event. Obviously, we're going to be working on that. So I will be a testament to it personally, and Adapting Social's team will be. But thank you so much. And everybody that's listening, again, we're heading into a new year. And the one thing I want is like for you to focus on one thing, right? If we are not happy with what we achieved in 2024, we have to change shit. We can't go into a new year doing the same things, expecting different results. And we can't surround ourselves with people who are not better than us. And I think that's the key is like, when I mean better than us, I mean like, don't have an accountant or a financial advisor who is not independently wealthy themselves.
That's right.
Don't go to a trainer or seek advice with somebody in the health space who does not look the way you want to look.
That's right.
Right? Too many people are doing that stuff. They're getting the wrong results because they're seeking opinions, not expertise. And I think at the bottom line is in this new year, you got to change shit up. We got to get after it. Your goals are too important. And again, Dylan, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you.
I'm so grateful for you. I want an air horn for you.
Oh, let's go.
I'm going to order an air horn. We're just going to be in a meeting and air horning back and forth.